Philip Riding, who's a lead analyst at Sibylline, a strategic risk and threat advisory firm based in the UK, and he joins us now with more. Great to have you on the News Hour. First of all, how big is this?
Without wanting to disappoint President Erdogan, I think the death of Baghdadi and then obviously the capture of members of his family are not going to have a radical effect on the organisation Islamic State at this stage. It's obviously had its capabilities depleted over the course of the last several years. And in terms of the information available to members of Baghdadi's family, that's unlikely to have a great deal of utility to security services in the West, simply because they're unlikely to be party to, for example, attacks that may be planned at the tactical level by what's left of IS's command structure in Syria and Iraq, for example. So I don't see this as in of itself. I don't see the capture of Baghdadi's wife in and of itself as being a particularly substantive incident.
And you said their activities were depleted, but how active are they now, and are they still capable of those powerful and such destructive attacks all around the world that we've witnessed everywhere, and here in Turkey too?
Well, I think if the way modern terrorist groups work is to in part inspire people worldwide to conduct attacks that they are told are in line with the intent of commanders such as Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. And so what we see in Syria and Iraq is that they continue to be capable of launching quite serious attacks without the need to revert to any higher command or leadership as embodied by Baghdadi himself. So, for example, there was a bombing in Kabul back in September, which killed 12 people, which is clearly quite a serious event. And as a consequence, but that demonstrates the degree to which, at the tactical level, IS is still very much a threat in places like Iraq and Syria. If we're thinking globally, really, over the course of the last year, IS's strategy had been to switch more towards claiming the activities of Islamist groups, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, as a way of rebranding itself as an international terrorist organization after the defeat of its territorial caliphate. So IS is still very much a threat and is still capable of inspiring acts of terrorism worldwide, but it's been able to do that for several years without needing Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi to instruct individual cells, and as a consequence, that his demise and the capture of members of his family don't represent anything that in of itself will change the intent or capability of the group.
And you say that it won't change anything specifically with the potential that the group has, but what does it say about Turkey's counterintelligence?
I think Turkey's clearly made great strides in its ability to combat the capabilities of IS over the course of the last several years. There's not been any major IS attack in Turkey, I don't believe, since the nightclub shooting back in January of 2017, and obviously there are sustained reports of individual cells being disrupted or detained by Turkish security forces. And so in that respect, yes, domestically Turkey's proved capable of deterring and disrupting IS activity over the course of the last couple of years. I guess the unknown at this stage is the impact of ongoing unrest in Iraq and the fall of the impending resignation of the government there, and what that effect that will have on the security situation. Not to mention, of course, Turkey's recent operation into northern Syria, which disrupted detention facilities that were holding members of IS. So until the effects of those recent events have played out, it's difficult to see difficult to tell how effective Turkey will be moving forward at continuing to combat what will no doubt be an evolving threat from IS.
And moving forward on that, without its powerful leader, where does Daesh go now?
IS has already evolved several times over the course of its life over the last 10 to 15 years. Before it was IS, it was AQI, and so on and so forth. So I expect the leadership of the group, such as it is, to evolve again and continue to pursue its jihadist agenda, albeit without the ideological leadership of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. But there are, I'm afraid, plenty of others where he came from. So yeah, IS will still continue to play a role both in the region and internationally, particularly when it comes to, as I said before, inspiring the activity of other Islamist groups worldwide.
Okay. Philip, it's been great to have you here on the Newsmakers. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Philip Riding there for us from Sibi-line in the UK.